Hey, besties. It's Honeybee, your somewhat sommelier. Today, we are talking about the Dark Olympus series by Katee Robert. Um, I have my stack of books here. The most recent book 8 in the series, I think it's called Sweet Obsession. It came out April 1st. So, obviously I got it. I've had it pre-ordered for months. So it came like right when I came out, and I read it already, and I'm very excited to talk about it. But I also want to give like a recap of the whole series. So maybe you read the first few books right when they came out and you're forgetting a little bit what happened. They do kind of give a little bit of recap in the beginning of the book, but I can give you a whole detailed recap. So, I love this series. I think it could be like an HBO show because like it is spacey. It's spacey, sure. Which is why I think like an HBO show would be really, really good for it because they can capture that space while still having like there's a lot of like political drama in it, and I love it. Today I'm going to be outlining the whole series with spoilers. So if that's not something you're interested in, I'll see you in the next one, and that's fine. Also, since I'm trying to come up with pairings, this series pairs well with pomegranate mojitos, a Greek quinoa salad, and tzatziki sauce. Mostly because when my book club met to talk about neon gods, that's what we had. While we were discussing the book, we all picked like Greek foods, and then I made the pomegranate mojitos to kind of capture the pomegranate essence of the Hades Persephone story. But I still think that that's a good pairing, and I stand by that. All right, so the first book is Neon Gods. This is the Hades Persephone book. There are a lot of characters in this series. So, I found a couple pictures on like Katee Robert's Facebook page, on Instagram. I even found stuff on Reddit. So I'm going to be kind of popping these up over here as they come up. So let me explain a little bit of the lore just to kind of set the scene. Olympus is like a city surrounded by this magical barrier that like keeps it safe from the outside world. So it makes it really hard for people to get in and out of Olympus. It's like modern day New York City vibes. So Zeus's tower is Dodona Tower, but it looks like the Empire State Building kind of vibes. So there's the upper city and the lower city. The upper city is where all of the gods live, except for Hades. Hades lives in the lower city. I put gods in quotes because they're not actually like the deities of ancient Greece. They are like titles in their political system. So like Zeus is the like head of the political system, but his name is not Zeus. His name could be whatever. But when he takes on the role of Zeus, people just call him Zeus because it's like the president. Like you just say you could say Mr. President. That's fine. So they call him Zeus because that's like his title. And also the positions. People can be replaced in these positions. So, there are the 13, and these are like the big positions in Olympus. There's Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and Hera that make up the inner circle. As of right now, there is no Hera because Hera is just whoever is married to Zeus. So whoever ends up being married to Zeus becomes Hera and then gets that role. Currently, at the beginning of Neon Gods, there is no Hera. It's like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades that are the like inner circle. These are also legacy positions. So when somebody either resigns, steps down, or like passes away, the position would go to the next in line. So like one of their children, or if not them, maybe like a sibling, like depending on the order of the hierarchy of how closely related they are. So Zeus is like the leader. Poseidon is in charge of the seaports. So he's in charge of like imports and exports because again, there's this barrier. So really Poseidon's one of the only ones that have any deal with like outside of Olympus. And then there's Hades, which he's kind of in charge of the lower city. However, at the beginning of Neon Gods, no one's heard from him in a while. They think he died and then there was no one to replace him and nobody wanted to replace him. And it's just kind of like, we don't really think he's there anymore. It is what it is. All right. The rest of the 13 are Apollo, Demeter, Artemis, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Athena, Ares, Dionysus, and Hermes. How some of these positions work is like, if you imagine like, okay, Demeter is in charge of like the supply chain of like food from the farms to the city and making sure that flows. Aphrodite is like the matchmaker and not in charge of alliances, but tries to help arrange good matches and stuff like that. Ares is in charge of like security. Athena is in charge of like secret operations. Hermes is a mess, running around constantly. So like everyone has their role in the system. So Demeter is important in the first book. Demeter is an elected position. So fairly recently, new Demeter was elected, and she has 4 daughters: Persephone, Eurydice, Psyche, and Callisto. Which, if you're familiar with Greek mythology, it's like these are not related. These are not all related. But in this world, it does kind of make sense. And then these other characters do come up in later books. So Persephone is obviously one of our narrating characters in this series. Persephone is our narrating lady in the first book. Each book is narrated by like whoever the romantic interests are that we're following. So we're following Persephone, and it starts off with her mom immediately trying to marry her off to Zeus, who has children her age. Because her mother, again, being in an elected position, she's trying to get her daughters set up into this, like, now that they're in this higher rank in the city, she's trying to set all of her daughters up for success within the 13 effectively. And Persephone's usually a goody two-shoes and just goes along with what her mother says. But this is one thing that she's like, everything in my body is telling me to run away. Also, Persephone is described as like pretty and fair and blonde. However, I know that that's not how she's like how I picture her is not how she's described in the book. If I were to like fan cast Persephone, I would cast Antonia Gentry. I'm gonna put her picture up over here. Again, despite how the book describes her, I picture Antonia Gentry because I really feel like she captures like the like innocence of Persephone for how she's described in the series, and I think she would make a really awesome Persephone. So like, just to put that out there, that's how I picture Persephone, even though that's like not it. The current Zeus has had several Heras, each one of them mysteriously dying under suspect circumstances, but nobody can prove anything, so it is what it is. So she like I need to get out of here, and she runs, like takes her heels off, runs barefoot through street glass in the city, into the lower city. And like there is another barrier. So there's the barrier around Olympus, and there's another barrier between the upper city and the lower city. And apparently the barrier just makes you feel like sick to your stomach. And Persephone is so like scared. She'd rather run through like all the pain of however going over the bridge into the lower city makes her feel, to escape whatever's happening. And she runs straight into the arms of Hades. And he is like, what? Who is this girl? Why is she running across the bridge? Why is she barefoot? Why does she have glass in her feet from running barefoot across the street? So like he takes her in, he takes care of her, he bandages her feet. Like it's a whole thing. Like he keeps carrying her around because like her feet are hurt. And she does not want to go back. She's also like, maybe if I let Hades ruin me, Zeus won't want me back. Then we find out that Zeus killed Hades' father, the previous Hades, when he was like really young. So he became Hades really young. That's part of why like he wasn't really involved with a lot of what's going on. People didn't really know if he was alive or not, because his father is no longer around, and he became Hades very young. So he's like not like he's older than Persephone, but not like that much. They shablink a lot. Hades has a underground bang place. I'm using hopefully YouTube friendly phrasing for that. So he has like a secret club that like some people, even members of the 13, they've come to have a good time or watch a show, but they don't say anything because they're like, we respect Hades and we respect the show, and like the upper city's too hoity-toity to have anything like this. So if we want to have fun, we got to come here, and if we want to come here, we got to keep it a secret. So, there's also a greenhouse, and that's like Hades' safe place, and he does end up taking Persephone there. As they start to do things and experiment, Hades is like, you have to pick a safe word. She's like, I don't need one, but she does end up picking pomegranate. Like, I feel like as soon as that came up, I highlighted it because I'm like, there it is. There's how this relates. Because like this book is so vastly different from like any Greek mythology. So this is like a nod to the original mythology of Hades and Persephone, which is really funny. Another thing, because she's like, I'll do anything to not have to go back to Zeus and this and that, and I need to prove myself. She never uses it. So like Hades ends up like using his discretion to like be more gentle or like not do things that he would normally do, because he's trying to take care of her. Zeus tries to get Persephone back, because like his fiance running away makes him look real bad, especially since Hades is holding her captive. I don't know. So Zeus, like I said, has kids that are Persephone's age. He has 4 kids: Perseus, Helen, Eris, and Hercules. They all come up again. Like, I know that I'm throwing like a ton of names out there and a ton of like plot points and political drama out there, but it does all come up in the later books. So the end of Neon Gods, again, spoilers. We're getting spoilers all the way through. Hades kills Zeus. He throws him out a window, and other members of the 13 who aren't necessarily in on it, but they don't like Zeus, they help cover it up. So they like make it look like he just jumped out of the window of his Dodona tower. So now Perseus, one of Zeus's children, becomes the next Zeus. So he, in future books, is referred to as Zeus. Occasionally his siblings call him Perseus because they've like known him their whole life as Perseus, but he is Zeus in title. I actually don't have my copy of Neon Gods right now because I lent it to a friend, because I was like, you have to read this series. So I gave her the first book. But I do have the rest of the books. So the second book is Electric Idol. This one follows Psyche and Eros. I'm a big sucker for like the Cupid and Psyche story. Eros is just another name for Cupid. Cupid is like Roman. Anyway. So Demeter, back at it again. She is trying to set Psyche up with the new Zeus. Because now Zeus is like younger. So now it's not weird. So she's like, Psyche, we need to set you up. And Aphrodite's like already trying to set him up with other people, because it's like Aphrodite's job to kind of manage that. And she feels that Demeter is stepping on her toes by trying to get her daughters into these positions. And Aphrodite is not a fan. And like Psyche's like, I don't care. I don't want to marry Zeus. I don't know him. So Psyche meets like Eros in the bathroom, or like at the hallway, like in the hallway, like kind of outside of the main party. He's covered in blood. So Eros, his mother is Aphrodite, and he's like Aphrodite's hitman. He's the one who like takes people out who Aphrodite wants taken out, but like discreetly, because she can't go around threatening or hurting people, because that's unlike the 13. But like every member of the 13 has their like enforcers, so to speak. Also, Aphrodite makes some like nasty comments about Psyche being like heavy, like, oh, I can hook you up with some like health coaches, which is not cool. So Psyche is described as being like curvy and fun, but like when Psyche and Eros meet, he makes like an offhand comment about like mentions that she's pretty, and she's like, oh my god, he thinks I'm pretty. I'm like like what it's something like he's covered in blood, and she's like, why are you covered in blood? He's like, ask the last pretty girl that asked too many questions, or something like that. She's like, he thinks I'm pretty? It's like, girl, he threatened you. There's a lot going on. Aphrodite basically puts out a hit for Psyche because she doesn't want Psyche meddling in her plans to get Zeus married off to whoever she wants to marry him off to try to, like, I don't know, strengthen certain alliances or build certain alliances. It's like it's a whole thing. Also, it would get back at Demeter by taking out one of her daughters. So the only way, like, Eros and Psyche are like, here's what we could do. We could just get married. So that way she would no longer be on the market to be married off. And then that puts him in a position to like protect her, because he doesn't want to kill her. He does actually like her. And she actually likes him. But they don't talk about that. And this is just chaos. So Aphrodite makes it her personal mission to remove Psyche from this plane of existence, because she doesn't want him married to her son either. So even though they have a fake marriage, they're like, she's afraid of him because he's like scary. So like every time he would like touch her, she's like flinching a little bit because she's scared. He's like, you can't flinch when I touch you if we're gonna be in public to make it look like this marriage is working. So they like get together to like loosen her up so that way she's not like flinching every time he touches her, and they're slowly falling in love, the whole vibe. And then like Aphrodite tries to get like Psyche alone, because she's like, I don't care, I'll remove you from this plane of existence myself. But like Psyche films it and sends it to Muse Watch, which is like the celebrity gossip page. And like in later books, it'll like start off with like Muse Watch, and then it's like headlines of like big important events that kind of catch you up to speed on like what happened in each book. So it's a big no-no for Aphrodite to be like personally trying to hurt a daughter of one of the members of the 13, and she's also one of the members of the 13. So she's basically forced to step down. So Aphrodite, the way that title works, it's not a legacy title. It's like the next person is appointed by the current Aphrodite. So Eris, Perseus's sister, so the original Zeus, one of his daughters, Eris has been like, I guess, working for Aphrodite or whatever. So she is appointed the next Aphrodite. So now we have two people who are part of the same family who are part of the 13. So now it's like, oh, they're going to sway the politics because they're related. They're going to work with each other. That kind of stuff. And that becomes a power dynamic, and that becomes a whole thing. Persephone and Psyche's other sister, Callisto, she's like the wild child. She's always been described as the wild child. It's like she does whatever she wants. She goes to parties. She cannot be kept down. She just does her own thing. Like they just kind of let her do her own thing because she's crazy. Like no one can tell her what to do. So, she ends up marrying Zeus and becoming Hera. And like Psyche and Persephone and Eurydice, they're all like, why would you do this? Like, you're the wild child. Like, you don't. So yeah, that happens. So anyway, she's Hera now. So Callisto is now Hera. Persephone's married to Hades. Psyche is married to Eros, whose mother is no longer Aphrodite because Eris is now Aphrodite. All right, the next book we got Wicked Beauty. So Wicked Beauty is the third book. So Ares, who is like the head of like security, like his thing provides like security services for like all of the 13. So Mans was like 80 years old, holding on to this position. But he passes away. So he's like super old. They're expecting any day that he could go, and that's fine. So he kicks the bucket and they're like, oh, we need to have a new Ares. So the Ares position, because it's like a security detail, the way that the next person becomes Ares is anyone can become Ares. And it's like a set of like trials and challenges and like fights and stuff. So you have to like prove yourself as a warrior and things like that to get that title. And then also historically, that title also comes with you get like a wife. So because Ares had lived so long, he had multiple wives throughout the course of his life. But like they forgot that like, oh, he was given a wife when he won the title. So Zeus decides that Helen, their other sister, is the prize for when not only do they get the title, they also get to marry Helen, who is very like, she's described as very conventionally attractive. So it's like she would be a great prize for anyone who is interested. We also have the arrival of Minos from Aeaea, I think. Aeaea. Anyway, so Minos somehow gets into Olympus through the barrier with his son Icarus and daughter Ariadne and his two like foster sons, the Minotaur and Theseus. We'll get to that. So the Minotaur and Theseus are entering into the trials to become Ares. And Minos tries to like set himself up for success because he's like, I have information on like a threat outside of Olympus that like you don't want to, like I can give you the information so that way you guys are protected and all that. So he tries to like set himself into like a position of like intel or like a, I don't know, outside delegate, whatever. There's a few other competitors also competing for the title. We have Achilles and Patroclus are competing. They are lovers. I'm a big sucker for like an Achilles Patroclus story. I read Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So anyway, they're competing. So Patroclus is mostly there just to like, he's competing, but his big goal is to help Achilles get to the end goal. So he's like, I'm not here to win. I'm here to just be a support system inside to help you get to the end and win. Achilles also works for Athena. So if he were to win the Ares position, it would strengthen the like relationship or like alliance between Athena and the Ares position. So each book up until Wicked Beauty has been two perspectives because there's only been two love interests. But this one we get Helen, Achilles, and Patroclus. So during the opening ceremony for the challenge, Helen rolls in and she has like her whole brave moment, like, I'll be shooting from my own hand. So she rolls up and she's like, I'm competing. And then I don't have to marry anybody because I would be Ares. So while they're competing, they're like staying in one area. So they're like secluded, I guess. Because I guess some people could like hire hitmen to take out any of the like competitors. That way they keep the position. So they're like, oh, we'll keep you here. It'll be fine. So somehow it's like groups of 3. So it's like 3 bedrooms. So of course, Helen, Achilles, and Patroclus end up all in the same like accommodation. And I think there's like certain rules where it's like they can kill each other in combat, like in trials, but not outside of the competition. And they also have access to like a gym for training between trials and things like that. So someone ends up hiring somebody to take out Helen. I don't think we know if it's just to scare her or to actually take her out, but Achilles and Patroclus help her out because again they're in like the same bunkhouse. They compete against each other. They also get together. She gets with them both individually and then together. And what's like, it's often after like they'll like have a trial, they'll train at the gym, and then they'll just like go at it all night, including like after getting some pretty serious, like she's injured and they're like double teaming her like it's their job. Like I'm all for suspending disbelief sometimes, but like this in particular, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, girl needs to rest. Eventually, it ends with Helen winning. She becomes Ares. So now we have 3 people from the same family, all in high like positions among the 13. So like some other people in the 13 are like, oh, they're colluding to do this, to do that. It's a whole thing. Also, Hercules, their other sibling, I believe they got out of Olympus and they've never heard from them. So they're like as good as dead. So Hercules is as good as gone. So they're the only 3 left and they're all now in positions among the 13. This is Radiant Sin. This is the Apollo Cassandra story. This book in particular didn't do it for me because Cassandra in this book is an employee of Apollo. And the like boss employee like relationship thing doesn't do it for me. So for me, this one was like, ugh, I was not a huge fan. Obviously to each their own. Like I'm not gonna tell anybody like you can't like it because of that. I just didn't like it as much because of that. So yeah, the dynamic gave me a little bit of an ick, but I like was hooked because of like the drama that was going on, the political drama that's going on. So for some other context, Apollo has a little brother named Orpheus. Orpheus had been seeing Eurydice, Persephone, Callisto, and Psyche's like, I think she's like the youngest sister. So she was seeing Orpheus. And when it might have even been the first book, he did something where like he set Eurydice up to be like potentially kidnapped or taken, and she ends up going to the lower city and staying safe with Persephone. So like obviously she doesn't talk to Orpheus anymore because he set her up and put her in danger, and I don't think he intended to. He's just, so in this book he is a little sad boy. Also Cassandra, she has her parents were like traders of Olympus, so like she's not totally trusted, but like Apollo trusts her. Um, and there's a whole dynamic there where she's like just trying to get out with her sister. Like she's just trying to do what she can do to leave Olympus with her sister because Olympus doesn't trust her anyway. And she's like, I'm not going to hang around to be stabbed in the back by the rest of the city because they don't trust me and they didn't like my parents didn't do good or whatever. Another thing, like the first time we see Apollo's like perspective, he's like, I can't help but look at her juicy booty. Different words. But it's like, sir, she is your employee, sir. Anyway, I digress. So, Minos, with all of his children and foster children, decides to host a weekend getaway, inviting some of the 13. So Apollo is invited, and Apollo brings Cassandra as his +1 because he really does trust her and trusts her to help him collect intel about Minos and his family and like figure out what's really going on. Like, why are they actually here? So, because he doesn't trust Minos. So, because Theseus and the Minotaur tried to become Ares and then didn't because they're trying to get into the 13. Minos is trying to place somebody into the 13. So the people invited are Apollo, Hermes, Dionysus, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, and Artemis. Eurydice is also there. So it is a chaotic group of people. Each person brings a +1. For a lot of them, they just bring a friend. But for Apollo, he does end up bringing Cassandra as his like girlfriend. They're like fake dating. Everyone who brings their +1s, slowly the +1s start getting injured and have to be taken out. There's also like a loophole in the laws of Olympus for claiming the title of one of the 13. If you kill one of the members of the 13 and you say like a specific thing to like claim their title, you can take that title. So Theseus manages to remove Hephaestus and claim the title. So this position is like a tech position. It's like being in charge of technology and like inventions and things like that. And Theseus is like a big fight guy, not a smart guy. So he's just doing what Minos tells him to do because Minos is like, I'm going to take you in and take care of you, but you're going to do what I tell you to do. Because otherwise you would be poor and dying in the street or whatever. So, the Minotaur ends up missing his mark. I think he was trying to take the Artemis title, but ends up not, mostly for reasons we'll find out later. So, that's a whole thing. But like Minos tries to be like, no, I'm helping you out because there's like shady stuff happening outside of Olympus and I have the information that you need. Next we have cruel seduction. This book, I don't have like, I have some notes that I'm looking at as I'm talking about these books. This book I don't have a lot of notes for because there's a lot going on as far as character perspectives. So we have our new Hephaestus. He's new. So Zeus is like, we need to keep him like under control. Like we don't know what's going on. So we're going to arrange a marriage. And Helen's like, not me. I already. And Eris, who is now Aphrodite, is like, it's me. He's trying to marry me off to Hephaestus. So it's Aphrodite and Hephaestus. So they're like arranged into a marriage. And she's like, I need to get at him. Because like, obviously he's doing some shady stuff. Like I need to make him understand how we do things here. So Pandora is a girl that kind of like came with Minos and the gang. And it very much seems that Theseus and Pandora are really close. So Aphrodite or Eris is like, I'm gonna get with her. So she's trying to seduce Pandora. And then Eris had been seeing Adonis, but they broke up for whatever reason, or potentially even so she could marry Hephaestus or Theseus. So Theseus is like, to get back at Aphrodite, I'm gonna get with Adonis. So it's all four of them. So we get perspectives from all four of them. It's a lot. Like some of the big drama is like, guess what? Minos isn't a good guy. What? So they're trying to get whatever information they can get out of Theseus, and he can't be trusted. Also, like Theseus ends up like actually falling for Aphrodite. Like they do really end up liking each other, and it's really sweet. And then they both step down from their positions because they're like, we can't in good faith maintain these positions. Like Theseus is like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't do this. And he's also like, I don't care about Minos anymore. I just want to be with my wife and our lovers. So that's what they do. They both step down from their position. So Eris is no longer Aphrodite and Theseus is no longer Hephaestus. I forget how they replace Hephaestus. I'm pretty sure it's like, is smart. It has to like present, like it's not an election. It's definitely like there's a way that they do it. And then Eris does pick somebody to be the next Aphrodite. I forget who she picks, but like it's fine. All right. Midnight Ruin. So Orpheus is sad boy. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So in the previous book, he was just so sad about like Eurydice. He's like, I can't believe I did that to her. She won't answer my calls, and her sister's threatening me. Because Persephone, having now been with Hades for a while, is like no joke. She's like, I will threaten anybody that tries to hurt my family. Like, I will not stand for it. So Eurydice's been hanging out in the lower city because she's safe there, and she feels safe there, and she's been having a good time. She's also been spending time with Charon. I don't know. He's like Hades' right hand man. I'm gonna say Charon. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. So they've been spending time together in Hades' Hades shady place. That's not what it's called. It's like a place for voyeurs and participants. So like she's been going, but like Karen's basically been tasked with making sure she doesn't actually touch anybody or do anything. So there's the barrier that is protecting Olympus from the rest of the world is weakening because there is an active threat like outside of Olympus trying to get in to take Olympus, like, and that's something Minos has been like hinting at, but he's not, obviously because he's not a good guy, he's not giving all the information, but he's trying to give enough information that they're like Also, Ariadne runs away from her father's house and seeks help from Eurydice. She needs some YouTube friendly baby removal. And that comes up in the next book. I'll talk about that. But so yeah. So Orpheus comes to the lower city in hopes of like basically going in to save the day, taking Eurydice back with him to the upper city. What he doesn't account for is that Eurydice also enjoys the company of Charon and doesn't want to leave Charon. So Orpheus has to like prove himself because he messed up a lot and like nobody trusts him after what he did. But I think he was kind of lied to, like, hey, you need to get Eurydice to this place. And then they try to like kidnap her. And he was like, wait, I didn't know that would happen. It's like, you're dumb. So because of the barrier outside of Olympus weakening, Hades is like, I need to at least protect my own. So, and like the rest of the 13 are like a crazy hot mess and nobody can agree on anything, especially how to handle this potential threat. So he is like, I'm going to put the barriers double down around the lower city to protect the lower city. So at least the lower city will be protected if anything happens to the barrier surrounding like Olympus proper. So like they get to like right before they're dropping the barrier to like truly cut the lower city off from the upper city. They're kind of handing Ariadne over to Callisto, who is the current Hera. Because they're like, listen, she needs a procedure. She needs help. She has information. Like, we need to do what we can to take care of her. And Callisto's like, I'll do what I can do. And Ariadne's like, I totally understand. Like, it is what it is. I'll do whatever I have to do. And she'll give what she knows to the 13. So when they're about to drop this barrier, or like it's the last call for like Orpheus to stay or go, and he decides to stay because he wants to stay with Eurydice and Charon. At some point, we find out that one of the previous Heras who they thought was dead, her name was Circe. She is the one coming back to try to topple Olympus. So she is the active threat to Olympus outside of the barrier. She was once one of the 13, so she's the one who gave that information to Minos and his men to be able to take any of the titles by like removing somebody. And she also like hates Olympus and the 13 with a passion because she was in it. Dark restraint. This is about Ariadne, and the Minotaur. He's not actually a Minotaur. He's just called the Minotaur. It's kind of like a wrestling name, like The Rock. Like, he's not a rock man. He's just a guy, but they call him The Rock. So, he actually, like, he has a name, but they mostly just call him the Minotaur because he's like a beast of a man. So Ariadne gets her procedure, and Hera sets her up. She's like, okay, you're going to marry Dionysus. She's like, okay, whatever. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I totally understand. It is what it is. She like, I guess for whatever reason, they want Dionysus to settle down, but Dionysus is like, I don't want to settle down. And they also want somebody to keep an eye on Ariadne because she is technically an enemy. So the Minotaur, there's like a flashback to where they like hosted like everybody, where like Hephaestus ended up getting removed. There's like a hedge maze, and like Ariadne would go out into the maze to like clear her head and like feel safe out there. So like the Minotaur like comes up to her and like ravages her. He's like, tell me to stop, and like she doesn't. So he like, the first thing he does is he like bites her thigh to the point that like she's bleeding. He's like, this is my mark on you. It's like, sir. But that is how she ends up with the affliction that she got taken care of and wanted to help with, because she's like, there's too much going on right now. I can't do this. But also he's like crazy obsessed with her. Like he like tells people, it's like, she's mine. She just doesn't know it yet. It's like, ugh, brother, ugh. Yeah. And like they come across each other's paths a few times, where he's like, tell me to stop, and she doesn't. So they end up doing things like in a dressing room, at like a fancy dinner. Like it's just so chaotic. So Dionysus doesn't want to get married to her, but he like understands the like chaos that is Olympus and the 13. So he's like, oh, when we get married, like here's a prenup. I'll give you so many houses, like one of my houses in the city, one of my houses in the countryside. I have a few houses, so like that's totally fine. She's like, I don't even deserve this much. Also, as part of like their marriage contract, they're not married yet, but they're like the marriage contract that they're like doing. He's like, we don't have to a shaboink, or any of that. Like that can be totally off the table. Also, Dionysus notices the Minotaur kind of following them around. And Minos puts a hit on Ariadne. He tells the Minotaur to take her out. He doesn't do it, but like Icarus heard that that's what the Minotaur was told to do, so he's like super worried about Ariadne. Icarus is just a pretty F-boy. Anyway, the Minotaur ends up helping Hermes take down the barrier around Olympus. which is crazy. So once the barrier's down, like it opens up everything. So that way, like Ariadne and the Minotaur and Icarus, they were together. They're trying to get them out of the city. So the three of them are just trying to get out. They're like, we don't want to follow Midas anymore. We don't want to be part of whatever's happening in Olympus. Like, we're out. So Hermes is a whole mess because obviously she was the one who took down the barrier, and that's like a whole thing. She's also like constantly breaking into everyone's houses. So like basically everybody knows that like she can get into anything. Like she is like, I'm in your kitchen eating your food, and that's like normal for her. But now she's like a traitor because she's helping Circe. But like also not, intentions unclear. So while all this is happening, Minos was intending to break into Dodona Tower, and Hera is like, I'll help you as long as the only person you hurt in this endeavor is Zeus. Like, take him out, please. Which is her husband. But so typically that would result in someone else becoming Zeus. But because she is with child, she would act in that role until their child is born, and then the child would become the next Zeus, I guess. So at the end of the book, Ariadne pew-pews her own father, Minos, on the docks, and they're trying to get away, but Icarus is captured. So Icarus is like, you go, I'll catch up with you later, it'll be fine. So Ariadne and the Minotaur get away. And like constantly throughout the book, Ariadne's talking about like places that she wants to go. Like she wants to see the world. One of the places that she wants to see is Brazil during like the carnival. So they kind of like make loose plans. Like, I'll see you in Brazil during the carnival, because that's also like the only thing that she really wants to see that has a set time frame. So that would be a time to go, because that happens at like the same time every year, and they can meet each other there. All right, now we got the new book, Sweet Obsession. So this one came out April 1st, I'm pretty sure. So it just came out. I love this one. For me, this is a 5-star read. It is one of the best in the series. Like, I'm going to be so for real about that. It is definitely one of the best in the series. Again, spoilers ahead. I know that this is the new one. Like, the rest of them have been out for a while. So it's kind of like a recap, but like the new one. So, Icarus is captured by Poseidon. That happens in the end of the last book. And he just kind of like, he's like, I know it's going to happen. Like, I'm going to be useful until I'm not useful anymore, and then I'm going to be removed. So I'm going to do what I can to hold on to information as long as possible so I can continue living. And his big skills are be pretty boy and seduce people. So he does have some secrets that he's gotten from Pillow Talk in Aeaea, wherever he's from. His father obviously was holding more secrets than he was, but he is basically the only one that's still helpful. So Icarus ends up getting tortured by one of Poseidon's people, and it's bad. Like a lot of he's like all cut up and not doing well. Even though he's like, I'm telling you everything I know. Like, I don't know the answers to the questions that you're asking me. And when Poseidon comes back, like, he's very upset to find out that one of his men did this to Icarus. Like, he even apologizes profusely to Icarus. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, this person is grieving because one of their family members was very recently removed in like something that your family did. So he's grieving and he's upset, and that's why he did this, but that does not excuse his behavior. And Icarus tries to like play into that, like, well, I don't feel safe, so I need you to be close to me so that doesn't happen again. And just like tries to get with Poseidon because like he does find him attractive. But he also thinks that like getting in with Poseidon will help like keep him alive longer. But also like Poseidon is very like, he's like of the 13, he's like the calm, cool, collected, level-headed one. Icarus like understands the game. It's like when somebody is no longer useful, you need to remove them because they could have information that could like hurt you down the line. Poseidon learns he's a sub. Icarus feels very strongly for Poseidon, but he thinks it's just woo and like a distraction to help with the impending war that Circe and her navy of sorts are trying to start offshore. Because when the barrier drops, there's like 5 boats just sitting off the coast. and they're waiting. Like, they're just waiting. And they're like, are they going to attack? What's happening? It's like the 13 are trying to like vote to see if they will go to war or not. They can't agree. They can't get a majority. And Hermes is missing. Hades is like, I'm not coming out of the lower city, y'all, until you can all figure it out. Like, if you don't have a unanimous like front, I'm not helping you with anything. We're keeping the barriers down, keeping the lower city protected. Poseidon is catching feelings for Icarus, and Icarus is afraid that when he's no longer useful, he'll be removed. However, Icarus helps to convince 4 of the 5 ships that Circe was kind of like commanding to turn around with blackmail. So like Icarus had some like secrets from these different generals of the different boats. He's like, oh, I know all the generals of those boats, like all the owners of those boats. So he like calls them and is like, hey, I will tell Circe about whatever this is. And they're like, no. And then he like basically shows them proof that he's willing to send. And he's like, if you turn around now, nobody knows. So they do. They turn around and go home. And they're like, oh, that was really helpful. Like, you really helped us with this. Circe is not on the boat. They thought she would be. So obviously she's finding a different way to attack the city. But Poseidon's catching feelings. Of the soldiers that are still on the ship, Icarus basically says, like, don't hurt them. If they surrender, like, let's take them somewhere safe. Like, let's take them home. So he actually takes them home to Aea and tries to, like, basically tells Poseidon, like, leave it all behind. Come with me. And Poseidon's like, I will. Just let me set it up. Like, he's Poseidon is the legacy position. So he basically calls his niece and is like, listen, I need you to learn how to be Poseidon over the next couple months, and then I'm leaving. So he does. He gets his niece set up and trained to be the next Poseidon, and he makes his way to Aea to see Icarus. And when he gets there, he's like, I have tickets. We're going to Brazil for the carnival, even though it's like really soon, because they're going to meet back up with Ariadne and the Minotaur at the carnival, because that's what she wanted. And yeah, like when I got to the part, I was like crying. I'm like, oh my goodness, he came back. Like, it was later than he said it. He's like, give me 3 months, so it's like 4.5 months later. But he's like, I'm sorry it took so long. And Icarus is like, I would have waited forever. And it's just, again, this one was probably, I know I read it most recently, but like, it's definitely one of my favorites. It was really cute. It was really good. Yeah, it's a good one. Highly recommend the series. So the next book that's coming out, I think December-ish, is about Hera and Zeus. So Callisto and Perseus, who are in those roles. And then the one after that, which it will be the 10th book, and I believe the last book in the series, is about Hermes and 2 other unnamed love interests. Looks like the series will be wrapping up after 10 books. I'm very excited. I really love Katee Robert. Her collection of works is really cool. Her world building is really cool. And she also has, Hunt on Dark Waters and The Court of the Vampire Queen. Those are also on my list for sure. So yeah. Thank you for joining me on this journey, because that's truly what it was, a journey. I know this video is going to be like super, super long. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.